Hello everyone, my name is Tuyệt from Hanoi Free Private Tour Guide. Today I'm so happy to talk about the Vietnam National Museum of History, and the museum is one of the earliest museum in the country, and it's built upon the facility of the Louis Fine Arts Museum, a museum under the French School of the Fires, and which was constructed in 1926 and inaugurated in 1932, and in 1958 the museum officially opened for visitor. And the French was built the museum with two purposes. The first purpose for academy is serve as place for the Eastern Institute to research and study local people and archaeology and political. It aimed to help them better and understand the Vietnamese in order to rule the country more effectively. And look at the museum. You can see the architectural museum mix the French architecture and Vietnam architecture. The French architecture showed that the yellow painted because Vietnam has a beautiful sunlight. When the houses are painted, it would reflect the sunlight, make the whole city beautiful. And Vietnam has a tropical climate. A lot of growth would grow on the world. And if the houses are painted yellow, it makes the world even more beautiful and Asian. And the Vietnam architecture, and about the Vietnam architecture, we can see the roof with intricate motif, which is the same motif in the many pagodas and temple in Vietnam. And the museum was divided some exhibition at each floor. On the first floor, on the left hand, we can learn about the prehistoric in Vietnam, and the next two we have the Trần Dynasty we have the Đông Sơn culture Đông Sơn culture to Hùng King and Trần Dynasty. And the second floor we have the Hồ Dynasty, Ming domination, Nguyễn, Lê, Trịnh, and Tây Sơn Dynasty. And before we learn about the prehistoric in Vietnam, we can see the Vietnam maps and look at the map. Vietnam divided the three area: north, central, and south. And do you know why Vietnam has a chef? And in the Lý Dynasty, Vietnam is quite small. It includes from the north to the Thanh Hóa and Hà Tĩnh province. And Vietnam has as chef because of the historical and geography limitation on territorial and territorial expansion. In the north, the country bordered Đại and China, a powerful neighbor, and Vietnam didn't have straight to invade. And to the west, the land is mostly mountainous. The King Lê Thánh Tông didn't choose to expand because it is favorable for national and economic development. And however, the southern region offered the fertile alluvial soil deposit by the Mekong Delta, which was the ideal for the agriculture and growth. As a result, Vietnam gradually expanded southward, shaping the country into the shape we see today. And Vietnam has a long coastline, abundant resource on the land and in the sea, and Vietnam Sea is an important part of the Pacific Ocean, which is the most significant maritime transportation route in the world. And now we can learn about the prehistorical in Vietnam together. This introduced evidence showing the early presence of human in Vietnam, alongside artifacts and cultural features that reflect human activities from the late Neolithic period. These traces are found in many regions, including mountain Minans and plains, coastal area and island. And in prehistory, people didn't live in house. We often live in cave, and cave is an accommodation of human, and a cave often next to the water resource, and it has the high floor to keep dry and avoid wild animal. This period saw emergency of division labor. Men did something heavier and women did something later. And we can see a closed next to cave. We have a closed room. A closed room like this for the pregnant woman after the giving birth or a sick people. Yeah, and the Đông Sơn culture was discovered in 1924 in the riverbank of Mã River, Đông Sơn Commune, Đông Sơn District, Thanh Hóa Province. It's one of the famous civilization of the South Asia region, and represented the unique collection of their artifacts such as agricultural tools, domestic utensils, arms, and musical instruments. And while the Đông Sơn culture were found in the north, Sa Huỳnh archaeological sites were discovered along the central and southern central region from the Quảng Bình province to Đồng Nai province, and including Lý Sơn, Côn Đảo, and Thủ Chu Islands. The most characteristic element of Sa Huỳnh culture is confirmed discovered the sand dune and its contained offering. And the Sa Huỳnh people are skilled in metallurgy, making jewelry and pottery. And on the second floor, we have learned about the Sam feudal dynasty, and there is a famous battle. It is the Ngô Quyền Bạch Đằng River. Ngô Quyền was a Vietnamese hero who defeated the Southern Han on the Bạch Đằng River in 938. He studied the river geography and terraplaning carefully, possibly with help from the local fishermen. Using this knowledge, he played hidden Odin's gate in the river, and when the tide went out, enemy ships were trapped and destroyed, leading to the historic victory for Vietnam. And the Lý dynasty was established by the King Lý Thái Tổ in the 10th century, in the 10th lunar month in 1009, and ended in 1225. 9 kings in total were on the throne throughout this dynasty. Lý and Trần are the two longest dynasties in the history in Vietnam and were highly developed in all areas such as the military, economic, culture, and architecture. Yeah, and this is also the period in which the foundation will land the establish and development the legal and education system. And in history of Vietnam, the whole dynasty latest for the short period. In 1040, in 1400, Hồ Quý Ly ascended for the throne and renamed the country Đại Ngu, the royal title, the Thanh Nguyên, and the Citadel, and the settle in the western citadel. Through their whole dynasty lasted for the only 7 years. Within the reign of two kings, Hồ Quý Ly and Hồ Hán Thương, certain revolution in the economic, culture, and education was achieved. Political and rejection of the lands and slaves, and the insurance of paper notes, praise of the Confucianism, development the Nam character, and expansion the school, and the Le Mac Restore and Le Dynasty, the long historical period including several dynasties, early Le, Mac, and Restore Le. In the period, the early Le Dynasty policy were enacted in a timely way, responding the needs of people, which brought their country to the new level of development, and particular commercial and foreign trade created a favorable condition for a major port city to be established, and such as the Thăng Long, Phú Hiến, Hội An, making Vietnam one of the powerful states of the Southeast Asia in this period. And the Nguyen Dynasty was started in 1802 to 1945, was the last period Phan Do rule in Vietnamese history, and including two periods, the independent period and the French colonial period. During the independent period, the Nguyen Dynasty developed many policies to strengthen and develop the country and encourage closer unification of the northern and southern. And Nguyễn Trãi was a key official who helped establish the later Lê Dynasty and church advisor of King Lê Lợi. He is celebrated for contribution to ending the Ming occupation. However, after the sudden death of the King Lê Thái Tông, Nguyễn Trãi was accused the involvement of King death, and as a result, he was sentenced to the execution of himself and 3 generations of his family. This tragic event is known as the Lê Thị Viên Garden case and remains the significant of Vietnamese history. Later, King Lê Thánh Tông, the son of Lê Thái Tông, reviewed the case and declared the Nguyễn Trãi innocent and restored his honor. Yeah, that's some information I gave you about the Vietnam National Museum of History. I hope it's useful for you. Thank you for listening and goodbye.